Good evening. It's evening now. I don't know when you'll be seeing this, but just wanted to touch base with you. I haven't connected with you in a little while, so I apologize for that. Um, I want to talk about Joshua chapter 5. That's where we left off in our Joshua series. And so Joshua and the children of Israel have crossed the Red Sea. And there's a passage there in Joshua chapter 5 where the Lord instructs Joshua to tell the children of Israel to circumcise. And the reason why they need to circumcise is because they have not circumcised all the while they've been in the wilderness. They've not circumcised all the while they were in the wilderness. And those who were circumcised, the generation that was circumcised while they still were in Egypt, they died off on the way to the promised land. This is very interesting for us. We find ourselves, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, we find ourselves at an intersection or a crossing between one generation and the next. And there is so much tension that is there between the old generation and the next, the generation that is passing and the generation that is emerging. And the question is, how do we relate our traditions, our culture, our rituals to the younger generation? How do they know the story? How can they keep the story alive, but still leave enough space so that the new generation doesn't feel like they're just fitting into a cookie cutter mode? As it relates to this passage in particular, God wants this new generation to worship Him. He wants them not to have the same mindset and mentality that their parents had while they were in Egypt. And so He asked them to be circumcised in accordance to the law, in accordance to the tradition. But He realizes that this is a new generation that is taking over and inhabiting the promised land. There's so many new things in the world going on today that our younger generation, the millennials, and even Generation Y, they're calling them, they're going to be stepping up to the plate, doing things that we couldn't even think of imagine. I'm Generation X, and I try to do my son's homework in their high school homework. I'm not able. It doesn't look the same. We live in a world where we have to be able to connect generations. We can't be separated, but we have to be in community with one another. We have to communicate with one another. I think this was a part of the tension of what happened in the United States presidential election 2016. You saw so many different types of passions presenting themselves, but nothing was sticking. Nobody was able to listen and hear each other. And I think that's because the traditions that are coming from the older generations are not connecting with the younger generation. And this younger generation wants to make a mark for themselves in the world. And we have to listen to God, and we have to listen to each other so that we can move in a positive direction. So that's all I have for you tonight. Take a look at the passage for yourself, and you can see some of the intricacies that I'm talking about with the circumcision and the generation that passed and the generation that is coming into the promised land. And then ask yourself the question, where do you fit in this generational divide, and how can you be a part of bridging the gap in this divide? Hope you're having a great day. Take care and God bless. And remember, it's never too late for a new beginning.